Do you have ADHD and also restless legs? Well, you might be missing this one very thing. So here's what's probably happening to you. Your legs are very restless and they're keeping you up at night. So you look it up to see what you can do, and every forum, everything that you read in the comment section, talk about that it's probably a magnesium deficiency. So you go and buy magnesium and you take it for 3 months, but the issue is your legs are still not holding still. Now, I run ADHD lab panels on my patients all the time, and I went back and looked through all the different lab panels over the past 10 years to look at everything to see what people are really low in, especially when it comes to restless legs and ADHD. Now, the thing is, magnesium came back second to last. Second to last. So out of like 30 plus different lab panels to measure what I was thinking about with restless leg syndrome, it wasn't that big of an issue. So if you've been taking magnesium for your restless legs and nothing has changed, well, you're not doing it wrong. You're just treating the one thing that was probably never low to begin with. So in this video, I'm going to be going over all the different panels that showed up low, and there's 5 main big ones. And the last one is the one that your legs at night are causing issues, but it also is causing issues for your focus during the day. So you're definitely going to want to stick around till the end for that. Because once you see this, you're not going to unsee it. Now, let me first talk about why I even care about your legs when it comes to your ADHD. Because a lot of you guys come for helping improving your ADHD and your focus issues. So what you're like, what does my legs have to do with anything with this? Because when your legs are keeping you up at night, these two things, your ADHD and your legs, are very much correlated. Now, to give you some context, the general population, when they've looked at studies, is they have shown about between 2 to 15% deal with restless leg syndrome. But in adults with ADHD, they found that 20 to up to even 30% dealt with restless leg syndrome. And this was from a review of looking at 29 different studies. And with kids with ADHD, they found that it was even higher. So it's definitely not a coincidence that people with ADHD have restless leg syndrome. And it's not you being dramatic. Here's what actually it's doing to you. You get in bed and you're completely exhausted. And then you start feeling your legs starting to crawl and start to feel that pulling feeling, and you start moving and it's keeping you up at night. So you get up, move around, seeing if that can calm your legs down. You go back to sleep, and then it just triggers again. And now it's past midnight and you're still not falling asleep. And then it becomes 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you're up at 6 o'clock again because of the same issue. And then the very next day, you can't focus and you're super tired. You start snapping at your spouse and you crash before it's even 4 o'clock. So what do you tell yourself? You just tell yourself, well, my ADHD is just getting worse. But your ADHD may not be getting worse. It may be due to just having a broken sleep system with your restless legs. And it even gets worse than that, because about 80% of adults with restless leg issues also have periodic limb movements where your legs keep twitching after you actually fall asleep. But the thing is, you never wake up to notice that there is an issue. So a lot of people with ADHD don't even know they have restless leg syndrome. And you might be one of those cases. All you know is that you just slept 8 hours, but you feel like garbage. That is the part that makes me ask the question about your legs. Because if I fix someone's focus issues, but they're still not sleeping because of the restless leg syndrome, then I really haven't fixed anything. Now, if you would like a full free ADHD health guide, you can download the description below, where it goes over all the different types of supplementation, foods to implement, also lab testing, treatment to implement. You can get that in the description below. So let's go back to the magnesium that you thought that would solve the problem, because I said it came back second to last. So let me give you an actual number. Out of all the panels that we tested, and magnesium was low in only about 2.5 to 3% of the people we tested. Meanwhile, the vitamins and the different things that we did test was low in almost half of the people that we tested, which I'm going to cover here in this video. Now, I want to be fair here, because I think magnesium can be really beneficial, and I don't think it's useless. If it's low, it's something you should definitely fix. But even seeing what the research says about magnesium with restless leg syndrome lines up exactly with I've been testing, because researchers pulled together every study that they could find when it came to restless leg syndrome and magnesium. They found about 8 usable studies and only found 1 that used a randomized trial. And they found that it didn't really show clear benefit. They found that 1 of the studies showed that there was benefit, but the problem is that study, they were not only just taking magnesium, they were taking vitamin B6. And I'm going to get back to talking about vitamin B6 here later in the video, because that is a pivotal thing when it comes to restless leg syndrome. So here's my honest take on this. Magnesium became the answer for restless legs because honestly, it is cheaper, it's safer on the body, and so it's something easy to go to, and everyone talks about it. But not it being actually tested well or people looking to see if they're deficient in magnesium to begin with. And that's the thing I want you to take from when it comes to magnesium and restless leg syndrome, because you've probably been guessing and you've tried lots of different supplements and it still hasn't solved your problem. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you've been guessing because nobody's really been testing the right things to see what's causing your restless leg issues and your ADHD issues. Okay, so what did come back low from our data? I first want to show you from the top of our list because it's not what you would actually expect. Because the number one was folate, also known as vitamin B9. It was low in about 47% of the people that we tested. That's almost half. Here's the part that made me sit up, because when someone goes in and gets their blood tested at a normal place, they have this huge reference range. They pretty much take all the people that are very sick to the most healthiest and everyone in between. When we tested this, I looked at it from a more functional medicine reference range perspective, which is different. I always want to look at things more optimal. And what we found is everyone was still fine in the big reference range, but they're more on the lower spectrum. But when we looked at the range for more functional medicine range, they were definitely more low and they weren't optimal. That's the difference between normal, that your doctor will just tell you, oh, everything looks normal, versus optimal. Your doctor probably said, yeah, everything looks fine, but they were looking at the wrong ruler because it should be a little bit more shorter to get optimal ranges. Now, the second one that was really low on my list, and I want you to write this down because this one does contribute a lot to restless leg syndrome, and I'll explain why. And that is vitamin B6. It was low in about 37% of the people that we tested. Now, why does that matter? Because remember that review that they tested with magnesium? They also added vitamin B6. And that is probably the reason why things improved. Not because of the magnesium, but probably because of the vitamin B6. Because out of everything that they tested, the oral vitamin B6 was probably the strongest result of any of the vitamins that they were testing. And vitamin B6 is a thing that almost nobody even talks about or mentions when it comes to restless leg syndrome. But vitamin B6 is the thing that helps a lot with dopamine, and low dopamine, which I'll get to here in a minute, is another culprit when it comes to restless leg syndrome. And from our own data, being 37% of the people we tested, it was one of the biggest mover needles when it came to restless leg syndrome and people's ADHD. Now, number 3 is vitamin D, and it was low in about also a third of the patients that we tested. Now, I have to be straight with you. When it comes to vitamin D, it isn't directly per se by just taking vitamin D, it's going to solve your restless leg syndrome. What it does is because vitamin D is a huge proponent of helping building and modulating dopamine, whereas low dopamine levels has been known to contribute to restless leg syndrome. Another big one that I don't see people really talk about, but I think this is a big one to be checking for, and that is being dehydrated and having low in electrolytes. A lot of times when I'm working with patients, that's sometimes the first thing I'll have them do is just make sure increase your water intake and also increase your electrolytes. And that could be the reason why you're having restless leg syndrome or you're having muscle twitching that are keeping you up at night. Now, the very last one, the one that I told you to stick around and stay for, is iron. And I need to show you something strange in my own data first before I dive into why this is so important with restless legs. Iron came back low in about 22% of the panels that we ran. So that was pretty much 1 in 5. But not the biggest number of the list. So why am I ending with this? It's because what iron does specifically, and because how badly we measure it as doctors. Now, let me give you a mechanism of what iron does in very simple terms. So you've heard that ADHD always has an issue with dopamine. Now, dopamine is your focus and motivation chemical. So how does the body make it? Well, essentially, there's a production line. There's amino acids from food that you get that gets converted, and then step by step until dopamine is made. Every production line has one slow station, the station that sets the pace, everything behind it. So for dopamine, that slow station has a name. It's called tyrosine hydroxylase. And that enzyme runs on iron. It's an iron-dependent enzyme. And it's really the rate limiting step, which means exactly what it sounds like. No iron, no speed. The whole line just backs up. So now look at what you have. Low iron slows the enzyme. The slow enzyme makes less dopamine, and then less dopamine is the one part of your brain. It shows up as trouble focusing at your desk, It also shows up having restless leg issues at night that we have known through research. So same missing part, but two different symptoms. One is an issue 9 in the morning, whereas another issue is keeping you up at night 11 to 12 o'clock at night. But here is the piece that almost everybody misses. There are two different types of iron questions, and your blood test answers only one. The first is how much iron in your blood is today. The second is how much iron is in your brain. Those are not the same two numbers because researchers have measured iron in the fluid around the brain and in the spinal cord in people with restless leg issues. What they found, it was low. They measured brain iron on an MRI scans and it was also low. But the thing is that was interesting, almost all those people had perfectly normal blood iron, but they had issues when they were measuring the iron in the brain. So think about that. Normal on paper when you're just running standard iron levels, but empty where the symptoms is coming from. And that's exactly the limit of my own data as well. My panels measure only iron in the blood. So when I tell you 1 out of 5 of my patients were low, that number is almost certainly too small because blood iron is the test that misses brain iron. So what should you actually be asking for? The two numbers that you really should be asking for is ferritin and transferrin saturation. Ferritin is like your savings account. It's not like cash in your pocket. It's something you save and can be used for later. Whereas transferrin saturation is like your delivery trucks. It tells you how many are actually loaded. And the cutoffs are a lot higher than you think because for general health, when you go in to see your doctor to test your ferritin levels, they will typically look at the reference range. They will say anywhere from 15 to 20 nanograms per milliliter is fine. But for restless leg syndrome and for the sleep medicine guidelines, they say that you should be treating iron where ferritin is at or below 75 nanograms per milliliter. So that's 75 versus 15. That's a big difference. You could sit in a normal range on a printout and be nowhere near the number that matters for your legs. So one very practical thing when you're doing this, so when you get it drawn, do it in the morning. Also make sure that you're not taking any kind of iron supplements or any kind of high iron foods for at least for 24 hours when you're testing for this. So if you're sitting there thinking, wow, I've been guessing for years, and that's the thing that I want to fix for you. If you're wanting me to specifically look at your medical history and do a brain chemistry assessment, you could book that in the description below where I'll go over your whole medical history and pinpoint what are the ADHD issues that you're experiencing and finally tackle it. Now, for years, the standard treatment for restless leg syndrome was using dopamine drugs. Now, it made sense on paper because dopamine is very involved when it comes to restless legs. So why not raise dopamine to solve the issue? And it works. And that's the hard part because people take it and get fast relief, but then something happens. The symptoms start showing up again. They start having issues in the evening. They have to change the dosages. And so it became this vicious cycle. So in 2025, the main sleep medicine group updated the guidelines on this and for those common dopamine drugs. Now they suggest against it using them for standard treatment for restless legs. Not because they didn't work, it's because of what they do over time. And I'll tell you something else from my own panels that we tested. So one of the panels we tested was measuring dopamine levels, and we found that only about 42.5% of the people we tested were low in dopamine, so less than half. So for a lot of my patients, dopamine was never the missing piece. The raw materials that build it were. That is why pushing harder on an empty tank does not hold up. You could try to whip the production line to go faster and make more, but if the parts are not available, the line doesn't move. So here's what I do instead. I measure full panels of looking at different micronutrients, and I do look at ferritin, transferrin, saturation, especially drawn correctly. I look at folate, vitamin B6, vitamin D levels. I look at the whole panel because these never travel alone. And in my data, the average patient was not low in one thing. They were low in several things. Then we correct what is actually low in the right form, the right dosage, and for long enough for it to matter. Now, I want to be honest about the limits here because iron helps a lot of people, and it's the one supplement with real evidence behind it when it comes to restless legs and ADHD. But the thing is, it is also not a cure-all. And taking iron by itself that you do not need is not safe. That's not me being careful because of legal reasons. It's because too much iron can cause issues down the road if you didn't need it in the first place. Which is the whole point, is test first, then treat. So your restless legs and your ADHD are probably not two problems. They're one supply problem, showing up in your legs at night and then focus issues during the day. And it's not just magnesium, as we established that. It's more likely a folate issue, a vitamin B6 issue, a vitamin D issue, an iron issue, or all the above. Underneath all of it, the iron blood test says you have plenty of it. So if your doctor says your labs are fine, they look normal, you got to ask them a question, fine compared to what? Because normal and optimal ranges are not the same thing. You want to be optimal. Now, this is just one component when it comes to your ADHD. So you should watch this video next, where I talk about the 3 things that always came back low after running over 12,000 different lab tests. So watch this video next.